Hi, we're going to look at applying a system rule to a transaction within the system from a compliance point of view, enabling the system to validate the transaction and to provide any relevant alerts and warnings. In this example, we'll apply the rule to a company officer appointment, but effectively you can look at configuring rules to look at any transactions within the system in a similar way, such as a trust distribution, for example. Now we're going to start by looking at the desired end result of the transaction warning. We're going to grab a company entity from our entity list down there, and when we select the entity, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the directors, the officers listing. We do one of our shortcuts to look at the officers, and we're going to select the appoint function to try and appoint a new officer to the system. We choose that. The officer we're going to choose is an officer entity called Peter Orban. Now Peter Orban, I know, has a rule breach attached to him for due diligence failure, so I'll select him, and immediately the system will tell me that there's a rule breach. CDD check is the name of the rule. Now these are configurable rule names, so CDD check is a name that I've given the rule. I'll just cancel that just to show you, but that's how the rules will come and warn the user that a rule has been breached prior to proceeding any further. Now if I actually look into that entity themselves, Peter Orban, and I'll just do a quick check on what rules have been breached, the AI warnings will show me what rules have been breached. I can see there that one of the last rule breaches there is a CDD check, the corporate due diligence check, which has been failed. That's the reason why the warning popped up. Okay, now whereabouts we configure those rules is within our configuration settings, and we go into the settings for rules, and there are all my rules that have been set up. Those are just literally groupings of rules. I'm going to go into the global corporate secretarial rules. You can see them at the bottom there. These are all the rules that I've got set up. You can add to these, of course, and I'll just quickly edit that rule to have a look at the settings behind it. And you can see in there that within there, that's the actual stored procedure that drives the rule, the names of the message that pops up, and any runtime parameters of variables that apply to it. So it's this very, very simple process of creating the central rule once, including telling the system how you want the rule to perform, and this can include simple flagging and color coding an entity when a breach has been performed, or do you want the system to physically proactively check every transaction for rule breaches, and even to prevent transactions from being recorded when a rule breach has occurred. When you want the rules to be applied to a transaction, not just a visual warning, but the actual transaction control, we go into configure, we go into system settings, and we go into compliance. And here we have a list of actions that the system is monitoring for transactions and system operations with regards to rules. So if I edit that particular rule there, you can see that the appoint officer action in the system is going to apply the AI rule to every time that transaction is applied. And you can see that you can also make the system actually to force the entity to meet the rule rather than just be an alert. It'll actually force the transaction prior to allowing it to actually occur. Hope you found that useful. Any further requirements or information, please come back to us at enSynergy. Thanks very much.